Here's your chance to leave. Okay. I've also enabled the live transcription for folks who prefer to have a transcript or read the transcript if that makes it easier for you to hear. You should be able to turn that on your own device down below where it says live transcript CC in your toolbar. Thanks.
Hey, would you like me to share the screen and get this started?
Let's go. Let's do this. And a pause falls over the town. So.
Okay, can everyone see the screen? Yes? Okay. All right, welcome to our HPIC virtual town hall. Welcome. Okay, I'm going to hand that over to you.
First, we're honored and humbled to be on the land of the indigenous peoples of the Coast Salish tribes. In our case, the Duwamish are our near neighbors, and we acknowledge that we are here on their indigenous land. Thank you for coming. If you're interested in the Real Rent program, I've added the link to that down below for those who are interested.
Hey, Rhonda, is there any chance you can get closer to your mic or make it a little louder?
Am I too quiet?
No, you're fine, Kay. Rhonda's just seems a little muted.
Okay.
Fine. Hold on. Hold on just a minute. Sorry about this.
We're gonna just start with a little bit of a slideshow. We're looking here at the unfortunate state of our building right now, with the unexpected skylight in the top from courtesy of the fire department and the nice swallow nesting area there on the.
Yeah, y'all gotta fix that.
Somebody was unmuted. All right, so next slide, please. Here's what we would like to put back there in its place. This is the architect's rendering for the new building, which will be built on the same exact footprint as the old building. Hopefully folks have had an opportunity to interact with this, some of these drawings at a few of the events that we've been holding over the past 9 months. Slide. I need Rhonda to change.
I know. Holding on. Okay.
Yay. Well, it's a long road. That's what we got to say. And we have a long way to walk. So this is just a shot of us at the West Seattle. We need to mute somebody there. Okay, thanks, Angel. This is a picture of some of the members and our little model of the Burning Club doing PR for us at the Seafair Parade, the West Seattle Seafair Parade. So along the way, where are we? Here's a slide which is sort of about the process, where we're at in the process. So we've had a few meetings with y'all, talking through the schematic design, which is the phase where the kind of architects figure out what we're going to do. And okay, we're going to just exit you just a second, please. All right. Right now we are in the kind of middle of design development. So the architects are looking at what's required by city codes, what the details are of all the mechanical stuff, all the building details like that. And we have a permanent intake date scheduled for February 27th of 2023. This is the kind of the holding date, but we may be able to get the documents reviewed before then, as soon as we can get them put in there. But that's where we are kind of in the timeline of this project. So what should we see the next slide? Some news we'd like to report this evening is that the HPIC board and building committee interviewed 3 different really highly qualified and fabulous contractors here in Seattle. It was a really hard decision, not unlike figuring out who to take to the prom, right? And we ended up settling on Metis Construction for the general contractor for the building job. We picked them because they are employee owned. They have a flexible kind of work practice, and they have worked on our site previously. So this is a picture of them installing the big giant metal beam, which they did for us during the COVID time when we were working on redoing the roof. Anyway, if you're interested in seeing more of their work, we've got their website there on the page. And let's look at the next slide. So what Madison Whitman Estes have been doing is working to develop a budget, like a really realistic budget based on the drawings that we have now. So, and they've come up with a fundraising goal for us of $3.1 million to build it out as we see it here. Pretty shocking number to me, but that's what we're going to try to get. Let's see the next slide. So we're also working on keeping the site safe. This is a huge concern, and we're really sensitive to the fact that neighbors have had to live now at this burnt building for a year, and it looks like they may have to live for it a little bit longer. But we are doing our rat abatement right now, so hopefully that will at least keep unwanted folks from moving in of the shorter size sort of type. I have to say we're still investigating what we have to do to keep parts of the foundations and stuff, which is critical to what we want to do. So we can't guarantee you that there's going to be an imminent demolition at this time, but we're trying to see what we can do. All right, next slide. So the budget, where are we? How are we going to pay for this? We've got the $500,000 from the insurance payout, the original payout. We have $250,000 due when the building is completed. To date, you all and various other amazing generous donors, such as the Duwamish Tribe, the Rainier Foundation, folks in the neighborhood anonymously have donated $55,000 towards this goal. Tonight, what we'd like to announce is that we've also been approved for a $400,000 grant from the Washington State Building for the Arts Fund. This is a very prestigious grant. We are so excited about this. Shall we say we're an amazing company. Folks like Wanawari, SIF, Children's Theater. These are other arts agencies all around the state that are also going to be that have also been approved for this. And so our next task is going to be to get this grant through the legislature so that we can receive this funding. With that funding in hand, we are now up to $1.2 million. So, you know, we still need a little over $1 million to make it to our goal, but we're so much further, and we're so excited about that. Of course, anybody on this call, if you happen to have that $1 million and you've just been holding back waiting, it's fine to donate it. But in the meantime, if we go to the next slide, we have some things that I personally will be much more better equipped to assist with. We have a big ask tonight from our community.
Hold on. So Kate,
okay.
can I hold on just a minute?
Yeah, go for it.
I would like to ask everyone to unmute and shout out a whoop whoop, because this is a big deal. So, you know.
Oh yeah.
HPIC's back.
And a big thank you to Julie and Shannon who wrote this grant for us. Super amazing work.
And I just also want to say that I want to emphasize what Kay said. This is the entire state of Washington. And, you know, there's quite a few people that apply for things like this and they don't get it. And we've applied for other grants that we haven't gotten. So to be slotted in amongst, you know, all these other prestigious, you know, organizations, performing arts organizations, it's a really big deal. So I just want to acknowledge the work that was done and HPIC for, you know, getting on that radar. So I will now go to the next slide.
Thank you so much. So what we now get to do, now that we know who all our representatives are for the next period of time, the election is over, it's time to harass them. No, it's time to reach out to our representatives. There is some legislative process that has to be gone through for this bill to become reality. And we are sort of we're well positioned to be helpful with that process. So the first person that we're going to be talking to,
Could everyone mute themselves, please?
I muted Antonia. It's okay.
Okay.
The first person we're going to talk to is Governor Inslee. And we want everyone to write to him before November 24th. So we know this is a big ask. We're going into the holiday season. So it's best to get it done this week. And I'm going to get to your question in 1 second here, Judith. Judith has put a very pertinent question. What does the legislature have to do with the grant? The grant is funded with Washington state money, but it has to be passed through the legislative cycle. So the governor will place the bill into the hands of the legislature, not unlike the way the mayor proposes the budget for the city. And then the legislators from around the state will vote on the contents of the budget. So we want our bill to be fully funded in that budget. And that's what we'll be asking our representatives to do. So we have text for that everybody can draw on. But we mostly want y'all to write in your own words why HPIC is such a great thing, what it's done for you in your life, how it's made your life a better place, right? In our neighborhood, and what it's done for our neighborhood. All right. Then we'll reach out to our representatives, which are Joan Nguyen. Now, I believe Emily Alvarado would be considered elect, right? Because she's definitely way ahead. I don't know if they called that race yet. And then Joe, those three, our two Joes and Emily are now our representatives for the 43rd district. So, but we don't need to get to them until like the month of December. So just one thing this week, over the next 2 weeks, we want to reach out to Inslee, right? Did that answer your question, Judith?
Let me unmute, and yes, it
Okay.
did. It would be helpful for me if there is a draft, some type of a draft to write a letter, at least with the verbs to use.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's how we are going to assist you with that. So first of all, we all live in this district and we know some of these folks probably. If you know any of them personally, it's a great time for you to reach out to them and let them know personally that you're interested in this bill and why it's such a great thing for our community. You can email them. You can call their legislative hotlines if that's easier for you, if you're not a writer and you don't have time to write. You can send a snail mail letter. Those are perfectly fine too. It does any of those things will be fine. We just want to let everybody know how important this project is to our community, right? And there is a fundraising template for you to sort of refer to, and we put it on the website, right? Advocate for Building for the Arts, HPIC. Just go on to hpic1919.org, and the text that they suggest using is there.
Yeah,
So
the link is right there.
well, that's the website link, right?
Yeah, so, right, but when they go on the front page, there'll be a link that'll take them to a page that gives them all the instructions, all the, who they send things to. So, yeah,
Super.
and the template.
And it's been emphasized to us that the more personal we can be, the ask is that they fully fund the Building for the Arts for 2023 to 25. So that is on the bottom line there, Julian, where it says we're requesting full funding. They're requesting, I think it's 18 million total for everybody.
Yes.
So we request that bill be fully funded. So we want to be sure that that's included in our letters, and then why it's important to us in our community particularly, right? And if you have any, I put a few slides in of inspiration, like things that we remember. Maybe we can just go through those a little bit. Think about what you've seen, what you've done with your kids, your family, who you've been able to see, performances you've been able to do or attend, actions like art lounge, the opportunity to volunteer and work in the community, meet your neighbors, do artistic projects together, all those things that really have made HPIC really an important center of resilience for the community. Any of those things that move you, I encourage you to mention. That's just my little, what do you call it? Inspirational thing. And then if you want to go ahead, I think we have one more slide. I really like this quote someone mentioned to me the other day. We shape our buildings and afterwards our buildings shape us. It is a politician, unfortunately, Winston Churchill, that said that, but it's really true that by having that building there and having it bring us together, it's really helped shape our community in the spirit of our neighborhood and our creative efforts here in the region. So we really need your help to help shape the new HPIC. Like, what will we be in 20 years? What do you want your kids to have here at the heart of the community? This is a really great time for you to get involved and help us. And if you do happen to know anybody that might be interested in giving money, that's always nice. We'd like to know about that too. But this is a call to action to the community for sure. And then, Rhonda, do you want to speak to this? This is
Yeah, when we were like talking about this at the board meeting last night, and we've just been talking about it in general, it's like, it's been really hard to show up in the community when you don't have a building. You don't really know what you've lost until it's not available to you. And so, this year, we've put on a few events or co-hosted events, the Reset Fest. We participated in that with Seattle Parade. We attended the Seattle Folklorico Festival at the West Crest, and most recently, we collaborated with the city and with Highland Park Corner Store to throw this wonderful Trick or Trees event at the end of October. And we do a lot of
HPAC and HPAC.
Well, NHPAC, yeah, NHPAC. And we continue to work hard to stay engaged with the community and support the community and do things that are interesting. And that's why you see that one picture of that. It's a board meeting, and but we're having to meet and see people's homes, right? Because we don't have a place to meet. And so what we really are asking also is not just the letter writing, but we want y'all to get involved in helping with events. Be a part of an events committee or volunteer for an event. And we also need people involved with the fundraising effort, because now that we have a dollar figure and we have a sense of the timeline, we need to start connecting with people in the community. And who do you know? Maybe you don't have $1 million sitting in your bank account, but maybe you know somebody else that has a private foundation, right? So that, or maybe there's a family foundation that they donate to special, community organizations. And so those are the next steps. We need to start working in that direction to find this money, because we've got, a $2 million gap at a minimum. So this is my ask, is to get involved and to help us, because if we can't raise this money, we can't rebuild the building. And I think it's going to be a horrible loss. It's been tough with pandemic and with the bridge and, and the fire. And now, some things are getting back to normal, but HPIC isn't, because we don't have our building. So we really need your help. So I think that concludes our presentation. Kay, do you have any other thoughts, or any other board members want to add before we stop sharing?
Yeah, you can take, or do you want to take the screen down and do sharing?
Yeah.
So I do want to just jump in really quickly. I pulled up the grant language that Julie and I put together for this Building for the Arts grant. And as we're working towards our fundraising goal of $3.1 million, we're going to be focusing more on the future of HPIC as a performing arts facility, which is what we wrote the grant about. So we want to make sure that as people are writing letters and thinking about, what you've experienced at the club in terms of arts and music and community building, that in the future, we think about ways we can expand our connection to the arts in the community and have more performances, potentially theatrical performances, potentially spoken word. We had just started the open mic just before COVID, and so we would love to return to those kinds of events. And I'm really excited about the opportunity that we have to bring people together around the arts, and then in our secondary uses, continue to have it be a community hub and a place of resource for our community. So as you're thinking about the future of HPIC and you're thinking about, people who might be interested in helping us reach our fundraising goal, we do want to be clear about the future that we're envisioning for the facility and for the organization. And we do want to focus on music and the arts, as well as having it be the community resource that it has been for 100 years.
We also have our architect, Matt Whitman, and also Sebastian is here with Metis. So if you have any questions for them, as well as the board of HPIC, feel free to put them in chat or just, unmute and ask your questions.
I have a question in regards to organizations who could potentially be financial backers of the building. And I'm wondering if you guys can talk at all, anybody can talk at all to what kind of organizations would one consider approaching? And is there a particular kind of foundation or organization or company or entity that tends to be one that's more appropriate for this kind of thing?
Who wants to take that?
I think there are a few potential, and Kay, if you had an answer that you wanted to jump in. Organizations that are interested in the arts and arts education would be one type of organization. There might be other organizations that are interested in community resilience and community wealth, and the fact that we have a building that's owned by the community to do what the community needs with it. Those would be other kinds of organizations that might be interested in helping this building stay in the hands of community members and volunteers to meet the needs of the community. Those would be probably the two kind of biggest categories that are aligned with our mission. I would say those two types, but I don't have any specific foundations in mind that we would, encourage people to reach out to. It's really based on your own kind of relationships and who who might be interested in seeing us have another venue for arts in this part of the city.
Thank you.
And that's a question I would just to add to jump in on Shannon, right? With Julian, that's a kind of question that would be great to have. I mean, we have this kind of vision of having just a small committee that meets like once a month or twice a month for a while, that just kind of brainstorms things like that, kind of like looks for those avenues for us. The work so far has really been focused on the backs of a couple people, Julie and Shannon in particular. And we started off with government agencies. Those are pretty clear cut, and we've been directed to some of those through contacting our District 1 representative and things like that. But in terms of other stuff, the knowledge of our members is always valuable, but there's also other work that can be done. And right now it's very exploratory. We're just trying to kind of figure out what those are, but it would be great to have more folks in that brain pool, right? So, if you've always been interested in thinking about stuff like that, or you want to get involved in that kind of work with the organization, this is a great time. It's not like being on the board or spending like a long set period of time. It's more fluid than that, but it's a great opportunity to meet with some other folks in the area and in the neighborhood and think about that sort of thing. Be super helpful,
Can I just add one thing? I don't remember what we shared several months ago, but let me just say that we have retained a capital campaign consultant who is giving us guidance on how to approach this. And she said the very first thing you need to have is a goal and a deadline. And we've now got the goal, and the deadline is, you saw a representation of the schedule. That'll get tightened up, but we heard yesterday that once we start construction after permitting, construction, it's probably going to be about 12 to 14 months. And so we have that perspective. And so this consultant said, once you have these two things, then you can start really telling your story about what we're missing and why somebody should care that they'd be willing to give $20,000 or $100,000 or who knows how much money. And so it's telling that story to, these government agencies. It's telling the story to organizations that have a history of like donating to the arts. And it, like I said, it could be just, like individuals, that may not be somebody in your initial sphere, but somebody else might know somebody, or that somebody else might sit on a board at a foundation. So that's where the community needs to come together and do this together. And if you want to be on the fundraising committee, please, send an email to the club that is hpic1919@gmail.com so that we can include you in that initial part of that process.
Otherwise, we'll be recruiting you. No.
Thanks for the info. That's great.
So Matt Hooks asked a question. Matt, do you want to unmute?
Sure. I'm just wondering if the construction timeline is based on certain fundraising milestones. So as fundraising is done, like does the whole budget need to be reached before construction starts, or are you looking at starting construction when a certain amount of the money is raised, or just wondering about that?
I'd be happy to take a stab at that question, just from the standpoint of being a contractor, if that's all right with you guys.
Sure.
I think that one of the reasons why
Sebastian, would you introduce yourself?
I'm sorry. My name's Sebastian, and I am Sebastian Kimura with Metis Construction, and I run the operations side of our employee-owned cooperative construction company. But we are somewhat familiar and one of the reasons why I think we were chosen was because of our flexibility in these sort of things. And my guess is this is going to be, and I don't want to overstep my bounds of what I think might happen, but and we worked on a project called the Mini Mart recently, which was also funded in kind of like similarly to this this project, and we did it in phases. So I think that as you get funding, probably we'll figure out what sort of what the critical path of the project might be, and we would we'd look to work with you guys to get discrete segments of the job done.
And the board's looking into that now that we have made the just kind of selection of the contractors too. We've been able to get a couple of shots at what they call a rough order of magnitude or a ROM kind of budget, and where we're able to kind of go through line by line and do some thinking about, best selection for, materials that are affordable to us, or, ways that we can make the thing phased in the way Sebastian's commenting about that. I think the building committee is very interested in that work. We have just started meeting with Metis, so that's still a little bit we're a little early in that sort of phase, but that's part of this next process. I think we are mostly at this point have been focused on making sure we have everything in our design that we want, but then now we need to turn around and focus on what the documents look like that we're putting through to the city, and that's kind of where we're going to be at. And looking for ways that we can bring the line items down and keep things under control, financially speaking. We know that the old HPAC or HPIC was not like a model of contemporary building and design of its day. There was someone asked me once in a meeting, well, is it landmarked? Do you want to get it landmarked? And, and we said, well, we didn't think that was really very realistic. But you know, we want to do the best that we can and honor the community with, but keeping the most modest scale that we can too in what we're doing.
And you know, there may be some opportunities for people in the community to put in some volunteer time to contribute. Our objective is to get a building, you know, built as soon as we can, as much as the process allows, so that we can inhabit. And then if there's some part of the building that cannot be occupied, then we'll raise funds to, in this phased approach, to complete that part of the building. So let's, you know, more to come on that. And also, if any of you know of anybody that can or will be willing to donate materials, it's not going to be an insignificant amount, but you know, this is your chance to ask. You know, Christmas is coming. Let's I'm not kidding. I mean, this is where even all you introverts, and I'm one of them, are going to have to start asking who you know, asking people, what can we do? Who, you know, what can we do? How can you help? Any other questions or comments?
We promised this would be a short meeting, so we don't want to, we want you guys to go out now and use the rest of the hour that you budgeted for this to write that letter.
Hi.
Oh, hi, how are you? How are you doing? We haven't seen you in a while.
I know.
What would you like? What you're excited about?
I'm very very excited to write the governor.
Oh, good.
Hey.
I love it.
That's great.
Hi, Gabrielle.
Oh, hi.
Well, that's great. Thank you.
No voice is too young or old to be part of this.
Right. Maybe adding a nice picture of that you can draw on the letter might be nice too, if you're
I
inclined.
should do a picture.
Any other comments or questions? It's a big thing that we presented today, and it takes time to take it all in. But I just, you know, I wanted to, you know, give everyone a chance to just, you know, experience the information. And even if you don't have anything you want to bring forward now, if you need to reach out later, feel free. Again, you can reach us, you know, through HPIC, and if you have our phone numbers directly or walking by our house, we're there to talk.
I think I just want everybody to also think back on the history of HPIC and how HPIC was always improving. And so I think we're gonna just have to be really creative to keep things going here, because it's, you know, it's really difficult, like Rhonda was saying, not having a building. But we are really gonna try to get some kind of a space as soon as we can. I don't know how long it's gonna take to be able to have access to a building, but we are looking at phasing. So hopefully that will help with working with the fundraising too. And thanks, Sebastian, for jumping in there. But we're a creative bunch of people. I think that, you know, if you have ideas for things we can do to keep the community connected during this time, that would be great too.
Especially all these new families that have moved in, you know, and, you know, there's no central place for them to connect it, except at the corner store, which is awesome, you know.
Yeah.
But the corner store doesn't have the capacity that HPEC used to have. So, and we love the corner store, and we're really happy that they're there. But yeah, and you know, I think Kay's got something cooking for New Year's Eve. So if you want to help on a New Year's Eve event, you know, here's your chance. So.
Yep.
Any other thoughts or any questions?
I have a quick question. This is Nicole. I'm just curious around what thoughts you guys have around how we still stay relevant in the neighborhood, when we don't have a space. And, our flagship event used to be Uncorked, and I, for one, can't wait until we get back to that, right? But this year, we did the Reset Fest, and I think that was a huge success. So I'm just curious on, is that something we plan on continuing doing until we kind of get back, or what are our thoughts around, really still being a voice and advocate and a connection point for this community, in the interim? Are we going to continue some of those types of events that, remind people that we're still here helping to bring people together, but also, a really cool event for people in our neighborhood to attend?
Now, Nicole, I saw your dog win a prize just last week at an event.
He did, yeah. I love that so much.
It's definitely something that we've been wrestling with, right? For over a year now. And like I showed on that last slide, we actually have done a few things in the community. And it's hard. It's hard to do that because we don't have a place where it. We have to take things out of a container, or it's really hard to do. And so that's why we need help, and we need fresh ideas. I know that Nicole, you've got great ideas, and if you've got something that's percolating, bring it forward, because we absolutely feel like it's essential to continue to be front and center. And maybe there's some people that have marketing experience, or event, management experience that might be able to bring forward those skills and help us, do some really cool things on the road or in collaboration with other organizations, right? I mean, I think the last event at the Trick or Trees event was a good example, a great example of a really wonderful collaboration between a lot of different organizations. So we're, places that have spaces and are wanting to do something. I mean, we've got skills, right? We've got stuff too. We've got tables and chairs, and we can definitely go and, do something at another location. And so, yeah, I mean, we don't have like a schedule, we used to have a standing schedule. We used to have the holiday bazaar, and, we used to have, special New Year's Eve disco party, and, in addition to the parade, which we did do a parade last year in the snow, which was really cool. But, honestly, like, this is our chance to, like, to Shannon's point, what else can we do as we lean into more like performing arts and culture? I mean, who are those people maybe we need to connect with? And, I don't have a direct answer, but we're definitely open and ready to do it.
And I would just add to that our call for, events committee volunteers. I mean, we absolutely want to stay relevant and stay a hub for people to come together. We need some additional volunteer capacity to put on more events if we're going to do that, and to look at new ways that we can. We have partners who've reached out and said we could use the space, but we haven't actually had the capacity to figure out new events to put on besides the ones that you all know that we've already done, which have been really successful. So I would just say, absolutely, we would like to. In order to do it, we would need some additional volunteers. But then once we have those, the brainstorming can start. And, as long as there's capacity to put on the events, and yeah, people are willing to find locations and work through the logistical details, like, we absolutely want to do that.
Okay. Thank you for that. I mean, I think people that have been here for a while really understand the impact of the club and how important it is to be in the know of what's going on and how we can help ensure that we get a space built back up there. My biggest fear is people that don't have that history really moving into our community and not knowing what an asset that is. So how do we help those people understand in the interim? And so I think that's a call to action for our neighbors, our community, our people here. And, you know, on how to ensure that we stay relevant through this, as, you know, an advocate for a community of bringing people together, a gathering place, right? So creating those events even that honor that. And so I'm willing to help, you know, just my personal commitment. Of course, I have great admiration for everyone that supports this club, and we've supported it for so long, but I think that's an important factor that needs to be managed and led, you know, while we additionally do all the really hard things of doing all the fundraising and the grants and all that stuff to rebuild the club. Both of those equally are important, that when we do, and I know we will, because we have such a great community, they're going to donate, and we'll find the ways to raise the money and rebuild this club, that when we finally do get to that point, we have you know, community that is like super excited about it, because they understand, you know, what that really means.
You know, that does make me think about, like, how do we provide information to the community at large, just about like telling the story of HPEC, and also telling, you know, keeping it front and center in people's minds, because, you know, that building has been sitting there for over a year now, and it might be sitting there for another year. We don't know yet. And it's become a blight. And how do you tell a story that's positive and exciting when you see this blight? You know what I mean? And yeah, we're open to like all the ways to do it, that we may not have the individual skills, or maybe some of us do, but that are on the board, which, by the way, are the people that are doing all this work. I would ask the community to help us. I would really ask the community to help us, because it's your place too.
Yep.
Good question. Any other questions? Well, I mean, if that wraps it up, I mean, we can let you guys have the rest of your evening and have your hot tea or glass of wine or whatever, and get back with the rest of your regular programming.
For those who came in late or missed the beginning of the thing, of course, we have Tracy, the ever vigilant Tracy will probably be able to provide some information, but we're also recording this, and we'll put a link on the website so you can see more the kind of initial part of the thing if you came in late. Sorry to interrupt, Mark.
Yeah, that's fine. So I just want to, like, last call before we say thank you for coming, and thank you, Julian. And really, you know, it means a lot. It means a lot for you guys to be here. So, and the work continues. All right, and reach out, like I said, anytime. Reach out and ask questions, or if you've got some ideas. We just ask that if you have ideas, hopefully you have also the time to help, you know, implement, because like Shannon said, we're doing a lot, and we need your help to do more. Thank you. All right, well, I guess that concludes it. Kay, you can stop recording, and we'll just thank you so much.